So let me share my screen.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
very good morning to.
Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. I think Jyoti Bhatti, are you joined in this class? Jyoti has some problems to join, it seems. It's okay. Fine. So I'm sharing the screen. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Can you see my PowerPoint, students? Is my PowerPoint visible to you? I think
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you. So, okay, students. So get ready with your notes and pen. So I will start the class. Okay. So coming to the anatomy and physiology. So here we started unit 1. So in the unit 1, these are the topics we have. So in the unit 1, we have cell organelles, tissues, and blood. So we already finished the cell part, and we discussed about cell organelles and their functions in the last lecture. So in today's lecture, we will discuss about tissues, their types. Actually, we have 4 types of tissues, and in today's lecture, I will try to finish first tissue, which is epithelial tissue. So I will take some 3 lectures for finishing tissues, then 1 lecture for blood. So within 4 lectures, I think with this week, we will finish unit 1. So that is my target. So yeah. So in the unit 1, we have the cell structure, and the classification of cell organelles, then functions of cell. Then we have cell division. Okay, this is a very small topic, which is mitosis and meiosis. This I will discuss in tomorrow's lecture. So today I will proceed with the tissues, the definition of tissue, classification of tissues, structure of tissues, and functions of various types of tissues. So in the syllabus, they have given us 4 tissues actually. So according to the syllabus, we have epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. So these 4 tissues we will focus on today's lecture. Okay. So among these 4 tissues, I will focus on epithelial tissue in detail. So before epithelial tissue, I will discuss about the definition of tissues and classification of tissues. So this is my today's agenda. So coming to the point. So these are the 3 textbooks, as you already know. So you can refer either Essentials of Medical Physiology or Chaurasi or Ross and Wilson for Anatomy and Physiology. All 3 textbooks links I have given in the same PPT, so you can download whenever you want. So coming to the point. So as we already discussed, the definition of anatomy means it is the study of morphology. It is the study of structure of the organism. That is why it is called as anatomy. Anatomy means study of structure of organisms. It can be either internal organs or external structure, internal structures or external structures. And basically this anatomy was divided into 3 broad categories. So those 3 categories include gross anatomy. So gross anatomy means which we are seeing through naked eye. By naked eye, whatever we are observing, the structure, that is called as gross anatomy. Whereas histology means it is the microscopic anatomy of the tissues. We will cut the tissue and we will see the tissue structure under the microscope. Such a type of observation is called as histology. Histology means study of tissues under the microscope. So that is also a sub-branch of anatomy. So in histology, we will study the structure of the cells and tissues under the microscope. And the third division, the third branch of anatomy is embryology. So embryology means it is the study of developing baby in the uterus. So such a branch of anatomy is called as embryology. So these are the 3 major branches of anatomy. The 3 branches of anatomy include gross anatomy, histology, and embryology. So this is the basic definition and the branches of anatomy. Then coming to the physiology. So physiology means it is the study of the functioning of the living organisms. So functioning includes their nutrition, their movements, and their reproduction. How the organism getting its nutrition, what is the physiology of its nutrition, nutritional requirements, what is the pathways of its metabolic pathways, and what is its movement and its reproduction. So all these things we will study in the physiology. Or basically physiology means it is the study of functioning of the organism. So this is the two major definitions of anatomy and physiology. Then coming to the cells, cells are the basic or fundamental structures for life. So everything is made up of cells, and a group of cells together makes a tissue, that we already know. So you know that the organization of life. So we have cells, a group of cells will divide into, they will make a tissue, a group of tissues will make an organ, a group of organs will make an organ system, and an organ system will make an entire organism, that you already know. Then basically the cells has been divided into two types, eukaryotic cells and prokaryotic cells. All our cells are eukaryotic cells, whereas prokaryotics are the bacteria. And we discussed about different types of cells present in our body. We have sperms, kidney, liver cells, bone cells, lung cells, brain cells, blood cells, heart cells, muscle cells. So there are multiple cells in our body. Then we discussed in detail about the structure of the cell. So basically cell has the nucleus part and the cytoplasm part. In the nucleus it has the DNA, whereas in the cytoplasm it has various types of cell organelles, and these cell organelles has been embedded to the matrix. The matrix is called as the microfilament structure, which is also called as the cytoskeleton. To this cytoskeleton, all cell organelles has been embedded. So we have different types of cell organelles, like we have the vacuoles, Golgi apparatus, ribosomes, mitochondria, lysozymes, peroxisomes. Then we have nucleus, chromatin, nucleophores, nucleolus, chromosomes, DNA. So all these are the parts of the cell. And we have summarized the organelles and their functions in this particular table, which we already finished in our last lecture. So until here, everyone is clear, I suppose. Yes, students? This is the revision.
Yes,
So far what I did is
Yes, sir.
revision.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. So next I'm moving forward to the next topic, students, which is the tissues. So let me directly go there. Okay. So what is the definition of a tissue? So tissue means it is a collection of various cells. So a group of cells will make a tissue. Okay. So a group of cells will make a tissue. So we have various types of tissues in our body, students. Before telling about tissue, I will give you an example of what is a tissue in a layman terms or in a simpler terms. So imagine, students, we have many types of cloth material. Can you give some examples of cloth materials to me? What are the types of cloth materials we have? Tell me, students.
So cotton.
Cotton. Yes, cotton,
Cell.
linen, silk. Then we have polyester. So we have many types of materials for these cloths, right? So cotton will be good at absorbing water or sweat, whereas silk will be good at lightweight and it can be easily wearable, and air will be go easily through silk. Whereas linen can be used for any waterproof materials. For waterproof material, we will use linen. So imagine these cloths like a tissues. So in these cloths, each and every cloth has its own purpose, its own function, its own advantages and its own disadvantages. For example, silk will be very very light, but the problem with silk will be it will be easily tearable. It can be easily we can tear the silk. But in cotton, it will be rigid, it will be strong. So each and everyone has their own pros and cons, their own advantages and disadvantages, and that depends upon its usage. If we want a sweat-free environment during summer, if we want to wear cloths, obviously we will seek for cotton, because cotton will absorb the sweat. So depending upon the function, we will take the different type of clothing. Similarly, in our body, depending upon the function of the organ, each organ is composed of its own unique tissue. For example, heart will always beat, heart will always contract. Until our death, heart will keep on moving. So that is why heart should be made up of very powerful muscle. It should be made up of very powerful tissue, which the tissue should be very strong at regular contractions. The tissue should not destroy. So such tissue is cardiac tissue. So the heart is made up of cardiac tissue, and your brain is made up of nervous tissue. Your kidney is made up of renal tissue. Your digestive tract is made up of digestive tissues. So we have many types of tissues in our body, and those tissues will perform the specific functions. Now, broadly in our body, the tissues has been classified into 4 types. We have totally 4 types of tissues. Before telling about those types of tissues, I will tell you the definition of the very meaning of tissue. So tissue means Okay, I think I haven't kept here, but tissue means to sew, students, to stitch. All the cells has been stitched on this particular cloth. That cloth, actually, that is collagen fibers. In this collagen fibers, imagine collagen fiber like a sari, students. To this sari, you are keeping some, okay, some buttons. You are keeping some buttons. Buttons are like the cells, okay? Along with cells, with this collagen fiber can be stated as a tissue. So tissue will have collagen fibers. In those collagen fibers, cells will be embedded. Okay. That is why the Greek meaning of tissue will be to sew, to stitched. It's a stitched material. It's a stitched material with cells embedded on the collagen fibers. Okay. So tissue is a combination of collagen fibers and the cells. Now we have 4 types of tissues in our body. So all types of tissues has been broadly classified into 4 types. Are you listening, me students? Are you following me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If I'm too much fast means kindly let me know so that I will slow down. Okay, but don't sit quietly there. Okay. So I'm coming to the types of tissues. So we have broadly 4 types of tissue in our body. Those include epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. So these are the 4 broad categories of tissues we have in our body. So we have epithelial tissue, we have connective tissue, we have muscular tissue, and we have nervous tissue. Now let me give you a short examples of each and every tissue. Epithelial tissue means these are the tissues which are present on the outermost layer of any organs or any particular system in our body. All organs, the outer layer of each and every organ has a epithelial tissue. Epi means outside, thelia means surface. It is an outside surface tissue. Epithelial tissue means this is the tissue which is present on the outside membrane of the body. For example, your skin. Skin is also an epithelial tissue. Your mucous membranes, they are also made up of epithelial tissue. Your blood vessels, the blood vessels has been made up of epithelial tissue. Then your all organs outer layers are made up of epithelial tissue. To be precise, all organs will have epithelial tissue, and that epithelial tissue will be in 2 layers. Keep in mind, I'm telling again, organs will have epithelial tissue, and that epithelial tissue will be in 2 layers. In between these 2 layers, there will be some space, and that space is reserved for body fluids. For example, you have the outermost layer of your lungs. In the lungs, the outermost epithelial tissue is called as pulmonary epithelium. The outermost layer of lungs is called as pulmonary epithelium. In that pulmonary epithelial tissue, there is a space, pleural space. In that pleural space, your pleural fluid will present. So similarly, your heart has a fibrous epithelial tissue. Your brain has a meninges epithelial tissue. So the brain meninges are called subarachnoid, pia mater, and dura mater, which is an epithelial tissue. Your skin is one of the largest epithelial tissue you have. And there is one property of epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue is also called as wear and tear tissue. Just a second, students. It seems there is a noise. Another interesting thing about epithelial tissue is, students, epithelial tissue is also called as dead tissue. Most of the epithelial tissue is made up of keratin, which is dead cells. And the advantage of dead cells is we can remove them and we can replace them. So for example, on the tongue, on the surface of tongue, you will daily clean your tongue, right? In the morning, when you are tongue cleaning, you will get that white thing. Actually, that white thing is your epithelial dead cells, dead epithelial cells actually. So why there is lots of dead epithelial cells in the tongue? Because constantly we will eat something and there will be constant wear and tear. That means constant breakdown of epithelial tissue in the mouth. So wherever there will be more damage, in that areas epithelial tissue will be present. So epithelial tissue will present in all outside membranes of the organs. And these are some interesting points of epithelial tissue. Is it clear, students? Can I move forward to the connective tissue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I'm recording this class and I will keep this class in the YouTube. So even if I'm too much fast, you can you can re-watch the video to understand. Okay, so don't worry, because we have plenty of syllabus which need to be completed in a very short period of time. That's why I'm also a little bit fast. Anyway, coming to the second tissue, which is connective tissue. So connective tissue means, by the name itself you are understanding that it is something which is connecting something. It is a connective tissue. We don't know what it is connecting, but its primary purpose is to connect something. That is why it is called as connective tissue. For example, when I say connective tissue, I will give you a very interesting example. Now, there is a tissue in our body which will connect each and every organ in our body, which is the blood actually. Blood will connect each and everything in our body, right? Without each and every cell and tissue, each and every organ and system must require blood. Without blood, no cell will survive in our body, or no organs will survive in our body. So blood is something that is connecting entire body. Now, can I say blood as a connective tissue? Will you agree if I say blood as a connective tissue?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was surprised you said yes. Yes, actually blood is a connective tissue. Blood is called as fluid connective tissue. It is a fluid connective tissue. We used to think that blood is normal. It's a liquid. It's not a connective tissue, but that is wrong. Blood itself is a connective tissue. Then it may contradict the definition of tissue. What I said in the definition, I said tissue means there will be a collagen fibers. To that collagen fiber, there will be cells will be embedded. Sir, but in the blood there is no collagen fiber. How can we state? How we will justify the definition of tissue for blood? Believe it or not, students, in the blood plasma, we have something called fibrinogen. Fibrinogen will be converted to fibrin. Fibrin is threads. Fibrin is made up of a type 3 collagen. It is a modified collagen. And that collagen will present in an inactive state. And why it is there in inactive stage? Because if that is activated, blood will clot. And blood clotting is very important for preventing of bleeding. So yes, even blood has collagen fiber, but in another form, which is in the form of fibrinogen, or to be precise, in a type of in a form of type 3 collagen. Okay, so blood also have the collagen fibers in the form of fibrinogen. That is what I'm trying to give the conclusion for blood. Other than blood, is there any other connective tissues in our body? Do you have any idea, students? Any examples for connective tissue? Any examples for connective tissue?
Vein.
Huh?
Vein.
Veins. What?
Blood.
Blood we already discussed. Blood we already finished. Any other definitions? Can I say?
Excuse me, sir.
Oh yes. What?
Sir, is bone is connective tissue or not?
Bone. So someone came cartilage bones. Very good. Cartilage bone is a connective tissue, because whenever there is joint between bones, in that joint there will be a cartilage. Cartilage. It's a modified, a smooth bone. Okay, that is cartilageous bone. Cartilage is a connective tissue. Yes, very good. Cartilage is a connective tissue. Good example. Any other examples? Fat. Fat is a type of connective tissue. Do you know that? So fat. Yes.
Sir, is bone is connective tissue or not?
Not bone. A modified bone, which is cartilage. Cartilage is a connective tissue. Okay. In the bones also we have different types of bones. Actually, I will tell you. Listen to me. Okay. In between bones. Yes, very good. Tendons and ligaments. Tendons and ligaments are connective tissue, but not bone. The associated structures to the bones are connective tissues, like tendons, ligaments, fissures. Then we have fibrous tissue among the bones, and we have cartilaginous tissue in the bones. All these are connective tissues. So most of the bones will have many connective tissues. And adipose is an example for connective tissue. Blood is very good example for connective tissue. And not only this, we have another forms of connective tissue that I will discuss in the coming lecture. Okay. So I hope you got some clarity about connective tissue. So connective tissue is something that will connect any two or two things. Okay, that is called as connective tissue. So I'm very glad. So I'm moving forward to the next tissue, which is the muscular tissue. So as the name suggests, we have these are the tissues which are associated with the muscles of our body. So typically we have three types of muscles in our body. So one is cardiac muscle, second one is smooth muscles, and third one is skeletal muscles. We have three types of muscles in our body. So they are cardiac muscle, which is present in the heart, then skeletal muscle, which is present in our in the biceps or wherever we are moving. So all those are skeletal muscles. And we have third type of muscles. Those muscles are called as smooth muscles. And these smooth muscles present inside the body organs, such as your intestinal tract, your blood vessels. They are made up of some smooth muscles. For example, whenever you are eating something that okay, you are going for defecation, you are going for 2. When you are going for 2, your 30 meters intestine will move. It will there will be a movement to the intestine which is called bowel movements. With the help of this bowel movements only, the fecal material will be discharged. And how does the bowel movements happen in the intestine? How the intestine moving the food materials? It is moving the food materials with the help of the smooth muscles. The small intestine and large intestine is made up of a specialized muscle called smooth muscle, and that smooth muscle will involuntarily it will contract the food materials for digestion purposes. So we have different types of smooth muscles in our body. One smooth muscle is in the intestine, one smooth muscle is in the testis for ejaculation purposes. We have smooth muscles in the blood vessels to regulate the blood pressure. We have smooth muscles in the endocrine glands for secretion of certain hormones and endocrines. Yes, Mr. Aman.
So esophagus.
Esophagus also very good. Even esophagus has the smooth muscle. So I can say entire digestive tract has smooth muscles. So this is all about the muscular tissue. So we have three types of muscular tissue: skeletal muscular tissue, cardiac muscular tissue, and the smooth muscular tissue or smooth muscle tissue. So I hope you got some clarity about smooth muscular tissue also. Then we are moving forward to the nervous tissue. So basically, you already know certain basics such as nervous system. So in our central nervous system, so CNS was broadly divided into two types: central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system, you will have the brain and spinal cord, whereas the peripheral nervous system, you will have the peripheral nerves, right? So all these nervous system is made up of nervous tissue. You have the central nervous tissue and you have the peripheral nervous tissue. Other than central and peripheral nervous tissue, we have a third type of nervous tissue which is called as the glial cells. It's glial cells are a type of nervous connective tissue. Glial cells means glia means glue. Glue means something equivalent to Fevicol, which is something that can bind. So any two neurons are binded by these glial cells, and we have many types of glial cells. We have ependymal cells, we have satellite cells, we have microsatellite cells, we have Schwann cells, we have many glial cells also. That I will discuss later. So this is these are the types of tissues we have in our body. We have epithelial tissues, connective tissues, muscular tissues, and the nervous tissue. So epithelial tissue will be present on the outer membrane or outer layer of any organs in our body, whereas connective tissue is something that will connect two different types of tissues. For example, blood, adipose, cartilage. These are the examples for connective tissue. Then we have many types of muscular tissue. We have muscular tissue like skeletal muscle tissue. Then we have cardiac muscle tissue, and we have smooth muscle tissue. Whereas nervous tissue, we have central nervous tissue and peripheral nervous tissue. Along with we have one more tissue called glial cells, which are like a modified connective nervous tissue. So is that clear for everyone, students? Shall I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Is everything clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Very good.
Yes, sir.
So yeah. Then morphologically speaking, that means structurally speaking, obviously there will be variations in the structures. There are many shapes, there are many properties such as stretchable properties, their rigidity, so their appearance, their staining properties. So there are many categories to classify these tissues. So I'm not going that much level depth. So you just know that these are the major types of tissues we have. We have connective tissue, epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. When we are studying individual tissue, then we can understand the individual properties of each and every tissue. Okay, so that's it. So this is the complete summary of types of tissues. We have nervous tissues which are present in the nervous system. Their location include brain, spinal cord, and nerves. Then we have muscular tissue which is present in the skeletal, heart, and smooth. Then we have connective tissue. Connective tissue include tendons, ligaments, blood, cartilage, bone, and lymph. In lymph means we have lymphatic cells that I will discuss later. Then we have epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue is present in epidermis, lining of digestive tract, liver, and all internal glands will have the epithelial tissue. So now I'm moving forward to the first tissue, which is the epithelial tissue. In today's lecture, I will try to finish the complete classification of epithelial tissue. What is epithelial tissue? What are the types of epithelial tissue? What are the shapes of the epithelial tissue? What are the functions of epithelial tissue? What are their clinical significance of epithelial tissue? So now I'm going to discuss about epithelial tissue in detail. So this is my second part of the lecture. In my second part of this lecture, I'm going to discuss in detail about epithelial tissue. So I'm moving forward to the epithelial tissue. Is that clear for everyone? So first I discussed about the definition of tissue. Then I discussed about the types of tissues. Now I'm moving forward to the first type of tissue, which is the epithelial tissue. Now I'm moving forward to the epithelial tissue. Is everyone clear with me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. Today very less responses. It seems first class you should be energetic. Okay. Anyway, fine. So I'm coming to the point. I'm just skipping the basics. This we already discussed. What is nervous tissue? Glial cells, as I said. Just keep it aside. Okay. So students, my humble request, students, I have kept my written notes. These notes I have made from various materials. I collected notes from Shembulingam, from Chaurasia, and from Ross and Wilson, and from another textbook also. So I have sent you all those original textbook material to you. In the morning also I have sent you one new material for cells and tissues. So first listen the lecture, note down the important topics and points, and start writing the notes from the given material to you, not from my written notes. Okay, so that you can understand and you can learn by yourself. So I have compiled my notes. I will discuss my notes and you need to prepare by yourself. Okay, obviously there are some spelling mistakes and you can't understand my writing. This is only for reference. This is only for teaching purpose, but don't take these notes as a granted. You just read by yourself and you prepare the notes. I will guide you on what you need to read. Is that clear for everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Actually, what happened is I want to show the entire spectrum of epithelial tissue in a single page, but I haven't found such classification, such table in any textbook. Various textbooks giving in their own analogy of the classification. So I have summarized and I have made everything together in my notes. So you just see my notes and you compare with the textbooks and you prepare your own notes. So I'm coming to the point with epithelial tissue. So I'm just leaving all these basics. You already know all these things. What is tissue? So the meaning of tissues means tissues are the bodies of large number of cells from same origin that together carry out a specific function. So tissue is a form of it is a word which is taken from the French word which is called tisser. Tisser means something which is woven. Woven means something which is stitched. That is called as tissue. So yeah, here I have given another interesting definition, which is tissue will have a single type of cell. Keep in mind, tissue is composed of a single type of cell with a specific function. That means muscular tissue will have only muscle cells, and the function of muscle is to contract, to move the bones. That's it. Nervous tissue will composed of only neuron cells, and its only function is to transmit the data, action potentials in the body. So like that, tissue will have only specific function, and it will be made up of a single type of cell. Tissue is a group of cells that you already know by definition. Okay, so coming to the epithelial tissue, students. So please note down this table. This table is very, very important. hereafter I will focus on only this table and I will discuss in detail about this table. Okay, so as I stated, we have 4 types of tissues in our body. We have epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Yes, any doubts,
So we
students?
got in the first page,
Sir,
sir,
Yes.
in the
sir,
introduction page,
sir,
there is
table
no
nahi dikh
table
raha.
yet. So slides
I-
are not changing.
So
Only
lights
first.
are not moving.
Slide, can't you see this classification, this table classification?
No, sir.
No,
we
Sir,
have
sir.
the
you are
first
the
slide on
first
the
No,
copy
screen.
sir.
also. You're not taking.
Okay.
Sir, we have seen the
So you're
first.
switching from slide.
Okay, so you are seeing only the Da Vinci.
Yes, sir.
The tree man, sir.
Yes,
That
sir.
got
What are you
tree man.
doing till now? I have discussed everything blindly with you. My God.
I thought that was introduction. You're not started yet.
Are
So we
yaar.
thought you are just excelling.
Are yaar, students. Just a second. Actually, there are two children in my phone. Okay. So can you see at least now? Can you see my desktop? This one.
Yes, sir. Yes,
What are you seeing?
Sir.
Just let me know. What are you seeing here?
Classification of tissue.
Classification of
Ah,
tissue.
very good. So half an hour, you are not seeing anything, and I'm going with a. Okay. So, okay, I will just to show you the previous slide, students. See here. So what I discussed so far is, so as I said, we have 4 types of tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Then I discussed about the tissues and their location on this table. Then I discussed about then I came to this particular notes. Okay, this is my written notes. So in this written notes, we are going to the epithelial tissue. So you can see classification of tissues here, right? Last and final confirmation, please. Can you see classification tissues in your screens? Okay.
Sir.
Okay. So coming to the point, kindly write down this classification when I'm telling to you, when I'm teaching. Okay. So coming to the epithelial tissue, students, as I said, epithelial tissue will be present on the outer surface of membranes. Now, this epithelial tissue is broadly classified into 3 types. This epithelial tissue will present in 3 different organs, as I can say. Those include proper epithelium, glandular epithelium, and sensory epithelium. Now keep in mind, students, proper epithelium means it is the outer membrane of any organ. Outer membrane of any organ, that is called as proper. Proper means outside, extreme outside membrane is called as proper epithelium. Then second one is glandular epithelium. Glandular epithelium will be present in the glands of our body. Can you give an example of glands in our body, students? You have any idea about glands in our body?
Glands
Salivary
In that
glands,
grind,
exocrine glands, and endocrine glands. Very good. So all glands are made up of glandular epithelium. That is a modified epithelium. Okay, that is called glandular epithelium. Then third one is sensory epithelium. So sensory epithelium means here we have various types of sensors on the skin. I hope you know. I forgot the name of those sensors. Like we have receptors, bioreceptors in our body. We have heat receptors, we have pressure receptors, we have Mancini receptors, we have many types of pain receptors. All these receptors are made up of a specialized epithelium called sensory epithelium. Actually, epithelial tissue don't have any neurous function. It does not have any neural function. But there are some modified epithelium which have the properties of sensing outside environment. And that specialized receptors, that sensing receptors, are made up of a specialized epithelium called sensory epithelium. I will give the examples later, the types of sensory epithelium.
motor or photon or optical sensor like.
Optical, exactly, similarly, but in our body we have heat sensing sensors. Okay, I forgot the names. Actually, in the skin we have we will feel heat, right? When we are going nearby fire, we will feel heat. That heat is felt by a type of epithelial tissue, which is a sensory epithelial tissue. When we are sweat, so we have many types of sensors. Okay, that we will discuss later. Anyway, so that is all about the sensory epithelium. Now let me focus in the proper epithelium. So proper epithelium is many types. So I will focus on proper epithelium. So now coming to the proper epithelium. Clinically, I'm telling, cancer will start from epithelial tissue, students. Epithelial tissue is more prone to cancers. Keep in mind. Why epithelial tissue is more prone to cancer? Because it is the outside membrane of our body, and outside cells will obviously get in touch with environment, such as UV rays by the sun, or chemicals, or fumes, or any dust particles. So there is a high chance of destroying of DNA in the epithelial tissue, and there is a high chance of getting cancer to the epithelial tissue. That is why if you are eating any tobacco, you will get your mouth ulcers, mouth cancer, because your inner lining of mouth is made up of epithelial tissue. If you are smoking, you will get lung cancer, because the alveoli is a epithelial tissue. Your lung is made up of a specialized elastic tissue, elastic epithelial tissue, which is called alveolar tissue, and that is why you will get lung cancer. And also people will say that they will get brain tumors. Actually, brain itself won't get any tumor. Brain cells cannot divide. Do you know this fact? Neural cells cannot divide, but inside the neural cells there are certain epithelial cells, and those epithelials will get the cancer, and that is called the brain tumors. And entire intestine tract is made up of epithelial tissue, and even there is a high chance of getting ulcers in the intestine, which is because of presence of epithelial tissue. So epithelial tissue, from the lab point of view, if we observe the normal structure of epithelial tissue, if we find any abnormality in the morphology of epithelial tissue, that indicates there is a possible cancer condition in the patient. For example, cervical cancer in the women's, or vaginal cancer in the women's. All we need to do is we need to take a scrapping of the vaginal smear, and we need to see the cell morphology. If there is any abnormality in the cell morphology, means that indicates there might be a possible cancer. There is a chance of getting cancer. So understanding the morphology of epithelial tissue will give a very broad and deep idea about the cancer stage of the patients. And starting stage of cancer is called as neoplasm. All neoplasm, if we found cancer in its early stage, we can cure it, no matter what about cancer it is. It can be either malignant or benign. Even deadliest cancer can also be treatable if we find the cancer in its earlier stage. And we know that cancer will start from epithelial tissue. Breast cancer, in the breast cancer you have the modified mammary gland. That mammary gland is made up of epithelial tissue. So if you understand the morphology of epithelial tissue, if there is any abnormality, then we can say that the patient might get cancer. So epithelial tissue is very important in diagnosing cancers in the patient body. So that is the major clinical advantage of screening epithelial tissue in the lab. Okay. Are you listening to me, students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So coming to the classification of epithelial tissue. So here, proper epithelium. Okay. So the outer layer, the outer membrane is called as proper epithelium. Here we have two types of epithelium, students. The proper epithelium is further classified into two types. So kindly listen to me. Hereafter the things will get complicated. Let me take a marker on the PowerPoint. Highlighter. Where is the highlighter? I need colors. I need red color. Okay. So now we have simple epithelium and we have compound epithelium. So what is the difference between simple epithelium and compound epithelium? Now listen to me, students. If simple epithelium means if the epithelium is made up of a single layer, if it is made up of a single layer of cells, then it is called as simple epithelium. So this is single layer of cells. If the epithelium is made up of a single layer of cells, then it is called simple epithelium. Now, these cells have different shapes. We have squamous cells, we have cuboidal cells, we have ciliated cells, which means it will have cilia, hair-like projections. We have columnar cells, that means they will be like a column like this. We have pseudostratified cells. So depending upon the shape of the cell, we have different types of simple epithelium. So single layer epithelium is called as simple epithelium. Now compound. What is the meaning of compound? Compound means more than one layer. more than one layer is called as compound epithelium. So this is one layer, and above this there will be another epithelial tissue. So more than one layer can be stated as a compound epithelium. Now this can be same cells. If all squamous cells or all cuboidal cells, all ciliated cells or all columnar cells, if there are multiple layers of the single layer cells, means then it is called as compound epithelium. So this is the major difference between simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Simple epithelium means only single layer of cells, whereas compound epithelium means more than single layer, more than one layer of cells. That means more than two layers of cells can be stated as a compound epithelium. Is that clear for everyone, students?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Single epithelium means, simple epithelium means single layer, whereas compound epithelium means multiple layer. Now, in the compound epithelium, it has been divided into two types. That I will come in the next slide. Just a second. Okay. Yeah, this is the table I'm telling actually. So here, proper epithelium, I said simple proper epithelium. So in the, I will show you this table first. Now, you need to know this basics also. So these are the basics of epithelial tissue. So the first basic is, this epithelial tissue was categorized into two major categories, two major things. So one is based upon their shape, and second one is based upon their arrangement. So based upon their arrangement, these are of two types. Based upon their arrangement, these are of two types. One is simple and one is compound. Okay, simple compound I will discuss later. So first let us see the based upon shape. So based upon the shape, this proper epithelium was divided into four types, students. Okay, so we have squamous cells. Squamous cells means they are made up of like this. So this is squamous cell. So this is how a squamous cells looks like. So this is the morphology of squamous cells. Okay, so squamous cells will present in the skin, mouth and blood vessels. So skin, mouth and blood vessels are made up of squamous cells, and this is the morphology of the squamous cells. Then we have second type of epithelial cells, which are called cuboidal cells. They looks like a cube. That is why they are called as cuboidal cells. So what is the function of cuboidal cells? So the major function of cuboidal cells is secretion. They will secrete some fluids. All cuboidal cells will secrete certain fluids, such as saliva, such as sweat from the skin. So all these secretions are made by cuboidal cells. So secretion and excretion is mediated by cuboidal cells. Then we have the third type of epithelial cells, which are columnar cells. Columnar cells means they will looks like a cylinders. They looks like a rods. They looks like a column of rods. That is why they are called as columnar cells. And the major function of columnar cells is secretion and excretion again. And columnar cells are extensively present in stomach, whereas cuboidal cells will present in the salivary glands. And the third type of epithelial cells are the ciliated cells. Cilia means finger, students. The meaning of cilia means fingers. Can you see finger-like projections to these cells? Can you see this PowerPoint, yes, students? Yeah, these are ciliated.
Yes.
Yeah. What is the advantage of this cilia? The major advantage of this cilia is to move.
Help in the movement.
Very good. They will help in
increasing surface area.
Exactly. Both are exactly correct answers. One is they will increase the surface area, and second one is they will enhance the movement. So for example, in the trachea of your lungs, there is a specialized ciliated cells called something I forgot, alveolar ciliated cells. Something there is a specialized ciliated cells in your trachea, and the main purpose of that ciliated cells is to remove the dust materials from the trachea. That will be ejected out by cough reflex. So before cough reflex, these cells will try to remove the dust particles from the trachea. Because they have these projections, and these projections will remove the dust particles. So that is why ciliated cells will extensively present in the lungs. So based upon the shape, we have four types: squamous epithelial cells, cuboidal epithelial cells, columnar epithelial cells, ciliated epithelial cells. Squamous epithelial cells present in the skin, mouth and blood vessels, whereas cuboidal epithelial cells present in the salivary glands, whereas columnar epithelial cells present in the stomach, and the ciliated epithelial cells will present in the lungs. Now there is a fifth type of cell. That cell will change its shape. Sometimes it will be in cuboidal shape and sometimes it will be in squamous shape. It will change its shape depending upon the requirement. Depending upon the requirement, the cell will change its shape. Such shape-shifting cells are called as transitional epithelial cells. Transitional epithelial cells will change their shapes. For example, your urinary bladder. Your bladder we have a property. So for example, this is a empty bladder. So this is an empty bladder. Okay. Now, if the bladder become full, bladder will become like this. The shape of bladder will become like this. Now, when it is relaxed, when the bladder is small, this bladder cells will be in cuboidal shape. They will be in cuboidal shape when the bladder is empty. But when the bladder become full, then the cells will shift to squamous. It is just because of that stretching, students. Because of stretching, the cell shape will be changed to squamous. So such shape-shifting cells are called as transitional cells. So these are the 5 types of epithelial cells we have depending upon their shape. We have squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and transitional. Transitional cells will change their shape depending upon the thing required. Cuboidal and squamous. Is it clear, students? Shall I move forward?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very good. So now I'm moving forward to the epithelial tissue depending upon their arrangement. So depending upon their arrangement, these epithelial tissue are of 3 types. Listen to me very carefully. Depending upon their arrangement, these epithelial tissues are divided into 3 types. Simple epithelial tissue, stratified epithelial tissue, and pseudo-stratified epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue. Simple epithelial tissue means it is a single layer of single cells. Single layer of single cells can be stated as a simple epithelial tissue. Maybe a single layer of squamous cells. So such a tissue can be stated as simple squamous epithelial tissue. Simple squamous epithelial tissue. If it is cuboidal, then it can be stated as simple cuboidal epithelial tissue. Simple columnar epithelial tissue. Simple ciliated epithelial tissue. Okay, so a single layer can be stated as a simple epithelial tissue. Now, second one is stratified. What is the meaning of this stratified? Stratified or compound is same, students. Keep in mind, more than single layer is called as stratified in the medical terminology. Previously, I said compound here. Compound or also can be also stated as a stratified. Keep in mind. Okay, more than single layer of cells can be stated as a stratified cells. Stratified tissue. Okay, more than single layer of cells can be stated as a stratified tissue. Stratified can be many types. Again, squamous stratified tissue, stratified squamous tissue, stratified cuboidal tissue, stratified columnar tissue, stratified ciliated tissue, or stratified transitional tissue. Okay, so this is how the stratified tissue has been divided. Stratified means more than one layer of cells can be stated as stratified. It can be stratified squamous, stratified cuboidal, stratified columnar, stratified ciliated. Then the third one is pseudo-stratified. What is the meaning of this pseudo-stratified? Pseudo-stratified means false stratified tissue. Very good. False stratified tissue. I will give an example here. Just a second. Okay, got the point. Sometimes what happens means, listen to me, student. Pseudo-stratified means, see here, I will draw the cells. See, this is a columnar cell, and this is also a columnar cell. This is also a columnar cell, and this is a columnar cell. Okay. Okay. Sorry. This is okay. Let it be like this. This is a columnar cell, and this is a columnar cell. forgot about this gap. I don't know whether I can erase it or not. Let me try to erase it. This one. Okay, just a second. So here I'm showing again. Like this. Here you can see this is only single layer of cells, but because of this disarrangement, because of the random arrangement of these cells, they looks like a multi-layer. Actually, this is single layer only, but it looks like a multi-layered cells. It looks like a stratified, but it is truly it is not a stratified. It is not multi-layered. It is single layered only, but looks like a multi-layered. So that is why this type of stratified epithelium is called as pseudo-stratified epithelium, false stratified epithelium. In fact, they are made up of a single layer of cells, but they look like a multi-layered cells. So that is why it is called as pseudo-stratified epithelium. Okay. So depending upon the arrangement, these are of three types: simple epithelium, stratified epithelium, and pseudo-stratified epithelium. Then we have different names, students. As I stated here, we have simple squamous epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium. Okay. Then here we have simple cuboidal epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, stratified columnar epithelium. Or here you can say simple squamous epithelium, stratified squamous epithelium, simple cuboidal epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, stratified cuboidal columnar epithelium, simple ciliated epithelium, stratified ciliated epithelium. And let us see examples for each. So simple squamous epithelium is present in skin, mouth, and vagina. So in the vagina, mouth, and skin, we will find simple squamous epithelium. Whereas stratified squamous epithelium is seen in skin and esophagus. Keratinized skin and esophagus, we will find stratified squamous epithelium. Multi-layered squamous epithelium cells are present in tissue is present in esophagus and skin. Then coming to the cuboidal cells, simple cuboidal cell tissue is present in kidney cortex. In the kidney cortex, we will find simple cuboidal cells, whereas stratified cuboidal cells are present in sweat glands and ductus glands. All ducts and sweat glands will have stratified cuboidal epithelium. Then coming to the columnar epithelium, simple columnar epithelium is present in small intestine, large intestine, stomach, and gastric glands, whereas stratified columnar epithelium is present in conjunctiva of eye, and that means the white part of the eye and part of the pharynx will have stratified columnar epithelium. I know the topic going little bit depth. Actually, I made the concept even more simpler with this classification, students. In the textbook, it will be 2 to 3 pages, and you will be really struggle to understand the classification properly. But I made it in a simple picture. In one page, I discussed a lot of content actually. So try to memorize these parts, the examples and the classification. I know it is somewhat tough for you since you are the starting stage of your the core subjects, but still I made the concept simpler as far as I can. Okay, so try to read once so you will get some idea. So now I'm moving forward with only one thing, students, then I will finish it. There is a slightly one more classification for squamous epithelium, students. Squamous is further divided into 2 types actually. You know what are those? Non-keratinized squamous epithelium and keratinized squamous epithelium. What is this? What is the meaning of non-keratinized and keratinized? What is the meaning of keratin? Keratin means it is a dead tissue. Keep in mind, these squamous cells are further 2 types of cells. What they are saying is dead cells and non-dead cells. Dead cells, they are saying it as a keratinized squamous cells, whereas non-dead cells are called as non-keratinized squamous cells. All these examples are non-keratinized squamous cells. And what about the keratinized squamous cells? Keratinized squamous cells are present in skin, nails, and hair and enamel of the tooth. Believe it or not, your skin is a layer of dead cells actually. Your skin has keratin. That keratin is actually you can say like this. Imagine a burial ground with many human dead bodies. So that layer of human dead bodies, that can be stated as a keratinized squamous epithelium. Literally, your skin is our beautiful skin is a dead bodies of our cells, our squamous cells. For beauticians it looks weird, but exactly we are covering with a dead cells. We have a layer of dead cells on our body. We are a moving dead skin people, actually, I can say. Anyway, so the skin is made up of dead cells, and the dead cells are keratinized cells. Your nails are made up of keratinized cells. You know that, right? Nail does not have any blood supply. The nail is a dead skin. Yeah, nails are dead skin. Okay, if nails are made up of keratinized dead cells, then hair is a keratinized tissue, and your tooth, your enamel of the tooth, is made up of dead cells. So the only thing I want to tell is the squamous cells are further divided into two categories: non-keratinized squamous cells and the keratinized squamous cells. Keratinized includes skin, nails, and hair, whereas non-keratinized we have the previous classification: simple squamous epithelium and the stratified squamous epithelium. So this is all about the epithelial tissue, students, and their classification. So this is the general notes of whatever things I said. So the naming of arrangement is depending upon their types. So here we have stratified squamous epithelium, then we have squamous epithelium, then we discussed about cuboidal. That means this is depending upon their shape. Depending upon their shape, we have squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, and ciliated epithelium. Then depending upon their arrangement, we have simple epithelial tissue and stratified epithelial tissue. So then we have one more tissues which are keratinized epithelial tissues and non-keratinized epithelial tissue, especially for keratinized squamous epithelia and non-keratinized squamous epithelia. So this is all about the epithelial tissue. Then in the next class, I will discuss about muscular tissue. Before that, I will do a quick revision of today's lecture of epithelial tissue. So I will just ask a Q&A session with you. I know that time is running out. I will take only 3 more minutes. Okay. Okay. So a quick summary of today's class. So today we discussed about the epithelial tissue. So as we know that there are different types of tissues in our body. We have epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Coming to the epithelial tissue broadly we have 3 types. We have proper epithelium, glandular epithelium, and sensory epithelium. Proper epithelium is of 2 types. We have simple epithelium and compound epithelium. Rather than this, we can proceed with the next slide, which is the epithelial tissue was broadly classified into 2 types, which is based upon their shape and based upon their arrangement. Based upon their shape, the epithelial cells are of 4 types. We have squamous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, columnar epithelium, ciliated epithelium, and the transitional epithelium. Then depending upon their arrangement, we have 2 types: single layer of cells and multiple layer of cells. Single layer of cells are of different types: simple squamous epithelium, then simple cuboidal epithelium, simple columnar epithelium, and simple ciliated epithelium. Whereas we have stratified. Stratified means more than single layer. Here also we have stratified squamous epithelium, stratified cuboidal epithelium, stratified columnar epithelium, and the stratified ciliated epithelium. And the examples and the locations of those epithelial tissue has been given in this slide. So kindly go through the slide and make the prepare the notes of this slide and prepare the written notes also for this. So kindly everyone must memorize this particular classification, this particular table. So based upon their shape and based upon their arrangement, everyone must memorize it. Okay. And as I stated, you have the non-keratinized and keratinized also. So this is the complete spectrum of epithelial tissue in detail. If you still have any problems, you can approach me personally. I will teach you again and again. Even tomorrow also, we can have a short revision of this lecture and we can move on to the next topic, which is the muscle tissue. Okay. So I have given you the notes. Everything was provided in the group. So kindly start preparing notes for whatever I'm telling. Okay. If you are writing notes on regular basis, it will be easy for you to study. So thank you very much. Let me download your attendance now. So if you have any doubts, you can ask me, students. Okay. Tell me few things. More than single layer of cells can be stated as
Stratified tissue.
Stratified tissue. Very good. Types of squamous tissue, epithelial tissue. Types of squamous epithelial tissue. Can you give examples? I said types of squamous epithelial tissue directly. What are the types of squamous epithelial tissue? Keratinized and non-keratinized. Okay. Only in squamous epithelial tissue we have these 2 classifications: keratinized and non-keratinized. Can you give examples of keratinized squamous tissue? Can anyone give examples of Skin.
Nails and hair.
Skin,
Skin,
nails,
skin.
hair.
Yes, skin, hair, nails, and enamel of tooth also. Okay. Then tell me the types of epithelial tissue depending upon their shape.
Squamous,
Very good.
Cuboidal and
cuboidal,
ciliated.
ciliated,
Ciliated and
transition,
columnar. Very good. What epithelial tissue present in the lungs? What epithelial tissue present in lungs?
Transitive.
ciliated tissue,
Ciliated. Okay. In the lungs is ciliated epithelial cells. Whereas in the stomach, what epithelial cells present in the stomach? Columnar. Very good. Very good. Columnar. Very good. Then what epithelial cells present in the skin?
epithelium, squamous
Epithelium.
Yes, squamous epithelium. In blood vessels, what epithelial cells present in blood vessels?
squamous,
Squamous only. Very good. And looks like multi-layered cells, but it is only single-layer epithelial cells. And what we can say for that? Pseudo stratified epithelial tissue. Very good. Then transitional. Yes, transitional epithelium is seen in what organ? Example for transitional epithelium?
urinary bladder,
Urinary bladder.
Urinary bladder.
And what is transitional epithelium? Can you define transitional epithelium? What is transitional?
shape shifting
Shape
cells.
shifting epithelium. Very good. Very good. So everyone is reading. Thank you very much. Your class finished, students.
Thank you, sir.
You
Thank
can.
you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. See you, students. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.